Okay, so I wanted to do a video on my experience trying to sell this car on Bring a Trailer. Kind of the process and some learnings from the whole experience. I don't regret doing it at all because I learned a lot. I think if I was to sell a car in the future, that would definitely be an option that I'm going to consider. I didn't end up selling this car because it didn't meet the reserve. But the process was, like I said, interesting to go through, and I'm glad I went through it. It was relatively inexpensive. So I'll start there. It costs about $100, I think $95 or $99 or something like that to start the process. And what you have to do is basically get it approved for BAT, Bring a Trailer, to list it on their website. I'm assuming that they're not going to sell like junkers, so that's why they want to kind of like allow certain cars to be listed, etc. So that's like $100 to just get it listed, and for that amount of money, what you get is an advisor. I forget what they call it, but a particular person who helps you with the listing, helps gather all the information, and gives you guidance along with writing up the description for the ad or for the auction. And so I had contacted them a long time ago. If you follow this channel, you know that I got another Porsche 997.2, and I decided to try to sell this car. And that was like several months ago, in the summer, basically, the end of the summer. And so what I did was I contacted them, found out what I needed to do, give them stats on the car, prove that I own the car. I have a lien on the car, but they just need registration over the title, and then some basic information about the car, and then they would ask me further questions as this process went along. And so I was super apprehensive about putting it on Bring a Trailer, mainly because I thought it would be frustrating to go through the process of having it exposed to so many people, so many knowledgeable people, I suppose, that could nitpick one thing or another, and I'd have to explain myself or defend myself. And so I was really like not looking forward to that at all. And then I was expecting the one or two trolls that would just, destroy the car or say this, that, and the other about the car. Just kind of like all the negative things about putting something online. I was afraid of that happening. But I had to sell the car, or I thought I had to sell the car, so I decided to go through all that. The other thing that I found kind of daunting was the amount of photographs that I would have to take and the quality of the photographs. So I'm not a professional photographer or anything like that. I have the GoPro cameras, I have a couple other cameras, my phone camera, and I wasn't sure how good of a set of photos I could take of the car. But they do offer, for I think close to $400, the option to get a professional to come out to your car and take photos of it, and that professional would know exactly like how to take the photos, things like that. So I'm always, or I should say I'm cheap, so I decided not to go down that route to see if I could do it myself. So I did some research online on YouTube. There's a couple of photographers that talk about how to take photos for Bring a Trailer, and I also looked at some vehicles on sale on Bring a Trailer, some high-end vehicles, and I tried to see what they were doing and basically emulate that. So that took me a long time to do because it was just tedious. I had to pull the car out, find the right lighting, take all these photos. I found that to be extremely not so much difficult, but just time consuming. And so once doing that, and then providing all that information to the advisor, you then have to provide everything that you're claiming to be the case on the car. So service records, things like that. I had an official certificate that I thought was somewhat valuable, so I took photos of that. So just providing all that documentation. The service records I found to be kind of annoying because the previous owner did provide some service records, but they didn't really mean a whole lot to me, and I don't think to the next buyer if there was such a person. And so I just said, hey, do you mind if I just provide kind of like receipts of everything that I've done, and it kind of proves that I bought these things for the car, and I don't really have service records because I've done most of the work myself, etc., etc. And the person said that's fine, so I did that. And so that was another kind of annoying thing, because a lot of my receipts and stuff like that were in my email. Plus, I don't know if you guys are the same way or not, but I'm constantly trying to get a deal. So I have so many different Pelican parts accounts that you would not, like I have, 7 or 9 different Pelican parts accounts with different emails, because I try to get that 10% first time buying offer. So it's just everywhere. Like I can't go to Pelican Parts and say, here's my account number, please tell me everything I bought, because I have like so many different ones. So I have to go on my email and figure all that out, and provide as much as I can, at least the big ones. Luckily with 928RS, Roger, I have one account basically that I kind of like was able to gather as much information as possible. So you provide all that, then they give you a time frame for when your auction will take place. And mine was like 4 to 6 weeks or something like that out, which was fine because I was going through a bunch of stuff. And I actually turned out pushing it even further, so it was like 2 months or so before I actually was able to be ready to be put on auction. And it was more so for me because I wanted to be able to respond to all the questions and comments. And that's one of the things that in my research on how to sell a car and bring your trailer, people would talk about, like, it's very important to be responsive to the potential buyers. And I wanted to be able to give the time that was necessary. And it's a week auction, so you have to 1 week, so you had to be available during that time. So everything lined up where I was free for the next X amount of days to a week, and I contacted my advisor and said I'm ready to go, and then he had said it's likely going to be whatever time frame. Regarding the description, so what they do is they write up the description. It's pretty much a boilerplate type of thing for that type of car. So I noticed for 928s a lot of them are the same. And so you go back and forth on the description, meaning like he or she writes up that description, the advisor, and then you tweak it here and there. You say, hey, I think it should say this, and they kind of want a reason why or whatever like that. And they do some of the homework on behalf of the buyer, potential buyer. So that's a good thing about Bring a Trailer. And so we get the description right, and it goes live. And for me, it was pretty exciting, right? And there's a couple comments here and there. There's an initial bid, like some lowball bid. Forget what it was, like maybe 5,000 or something like that. And then the questions start coming in, and I think I'm relatively good at responding to questions or comments online or on my phone. Just in general, I've always been good about responding within a certain time frame. And so in my responses, I wasn't trying to be one way or another. I was just answering all the questions how I normally would answer them, either on my channel or just in life in general. So, I was very honest about everything, full disclosure, that kind of thing. And probably went further than I had to. But I think that's a good way to approach this, because I think the buyer or potential buyer or the audience they can see through BS. I mean, however you phrase it, they can see right through that if you're trying to hide or put something over on people, right? And so I think the Bring a Trailer audience is pretty savvy. They're going to see right through things. And if you're honest about it from the get-go, they'll appreciate that. And I think that came across well. So I responded to all the questions, provided links to my YouTube channels if they were curious about one thing or another. And I think as a seller, I came across as being honest and not trying to pull anything over anybody. However, that didn't translate into a sale. I think realistically, I should have probably put my reserve a lot lower, but I still don't think I would have sold the car, mainly because of the paint. The paint on this car needs to be redone, and I think that's a big deal breaker for a lot of people. So to do it properly, which I may do in the future, but I will do anyways, not necessarily sell this car, but repaint this car, fill up all the holes that's on the side of the car because of the rub strips, and quote unquote defederalize it, meaning take the ugly side markers off, fill those holes up, and then get it repainted. And then that would make this car pretty mint in the sense of how I think the car should look. It's not original by any stretch of the imagination, but it's certainly a car that I am, proud to say it's mine and I've worked on and done this or that. So the auction, like I said, is 7 days a week. I'm gonna go this way, I suppose. Whoop. And all the questions come in at different times throughout the day, during those 7 days. The bidding, it's onesie twosies, really low until literally the last 5 or 10 minutes. Oh, I think that's a Testarossa up there. So you basically should be available the last hour that the car goes, or the car's on the market. Within that last hour and the last 5 minutes is when it starts kicking up. And let's say someone bids, a couple minutes before the ending of the auction. Well, then there's like a 5-minute ad to that auction. So it could go on significantly longer, and I think that's what people do is they wait to the very last minute, and then they start bidding, and then it's usually one or two or three, up to three people trying to bid, and they're usually the folks that have asked the more serious questions. Like, you can kind of tell based on the questions whether they're really serious or not. The other thing, you get like a small window to edit your responses, and every once in a while I would see someone post a response or post a comment that was not that great. It just wasn't nice to say. And then later that guy, I could see them change that comment right after, which was kind of, nice, because I think that people realize it's like, hey, this isn't really helpful, right? This, whatever comment they made. And so that was kind of nice. And what allows me to do as the seller, because you have this little small window to edit stuff or to write your response, once you post it, you get a couple, like I said, I think it's like 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes or 5 minutes, where you can just review your response and then make edits. And inevitably, I was constantly making grammatical edits or errors, and I still did, but you're able to kind of correct yourself. So, bottom line is, that's how it works. It's a nominal fee. I'm going to say $100. It's not that bad, just to see what the market will give for your car. And when I say the market, whatever that market is for Bring a Trailer, I don't know if it's a bunch of dealers or what, but it gives you a good idea where you're at with your car, and it's worth the experience. With that being said, I do see the value of having someone do this for you. Oh, this is a Ferrari, so I don't know if this is going to pick up on the camera, but let's see if I can see this guy. This is a Ferrari. I don't know him that well, but this looks pretty nice. Let's see if he races. Oh, he's this old guy. Oh, he doesn't look old. So, I think it's worth it. Oh shit. I think it's worth it to do it if you're interested. I was apprehensive, like I said, because of a number of reasons, but those reasons, one being, the possibility of people flaming your car. I don't think that's a legit reason if you're honest on your responses and you're honest about your car. The other one is taking the photos. Again, it's your own abilities and what you feel comfortable with, but it can be done. It's nothing where if your car, it might, if you have a really incredible car, you want to, exploit it and show all its features, then having a professional do it, that'll probably help. But if you have like a, regular car, the photos aren't going to be the difference. So I think if you do a half decent job, the buyer who's interested in your car is going to overlook, those things with the photo and be okay with it. If your car, if he or she is truly interested in the car, and they'll be like, okay, yeah, it's the photo, it's whatever. But if you're trying to pull one over everybody and make your car look better than it really is, and you're going into it that way, then maybe it is worth it to spend $400 and get a professional to hide all its flaws. But I'm telling you, they will look at it. Like a serious buyer will look at every photo, blow it up, see all its, and they'll ask you questions about it. So if you're trying to hide something, they'll ask you, and they can probably see the difference in quality. Oh, it's a really nice car. So they'll see the difference in quality if you're trying to hide something. So if something's in high def and then something else is not, they'll figure all that out. All right. So that's more or less it. I'll go into what I'm planning on doing with the car, because I am keeping it. What's that? The next big thing is top end refresh. So I have to do some research on what that's all about, and I'm going to do the top end refresh as soon as as soon as I have some time. So that's the next big thing on this car. There's a couple of the little minor things that I found to be not in 100% working order, and I just kind of left it because I was thinking about selling the car. But those little, parts I will replace so that they're functioning. One is like the pressure, I think the radiator fluid pressure or something like that. And so I'm going to do that. And then I don't know if you guys remember, but there was this issue where when the engine was warm and I turn it off and I get back in and I want to start it and the engine is still warm, it bogs and stalls. Well, that's still happening. I had replaced the fuel regulators and the dampeners, and which cost me a lot of money. It cost me like close to $600. And I thought that fixed it, but the problem is back. So I'm trying to figure out what that is. That's kind of just something on the background. It's not like, it's going to stop me from going wherever I need to go with the car, but it is something that I find troublesome. So I'm going to diagnose that and try to figure out what's going on there. I don't know what's, I replaced what I thought to be the case. I'm hoping it's nothing to do with like the ECU or anything like that, but I don't know. That's just one of many things. So this will be something that I'm just going to continue on, along with working on my 911 and little things I want to do with that car. Again, I'm trying not to spend too much money on that car at all. I'm trying to do all my modifications on the cheap. So anyways, that is it.